August 12, 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 23, a Boeing 7047 sir, prepares for a routine holiday flight from Tokyo to Osaka. Aboard are 24 souls. No one could anticipate this would become the deadliest single aircraft accident in aviation history. At 6:12 p.m. Flight 123 takes off from Haneda Airport. 12 minutes into the climb, cruising over Sagami Bay at 24,000 feet, a deafening explosion violently shakes the massive jumbo jet. The cockpit fills with deafening alarms. The explosive decompression rips the aft pressure bulkhead apart. The captain instinctively grabs the radio. "Ah, Tokyo, Japan Air 1 Taiwan 12. Request for Tokyo." Achio immediately responds, "Japan Air 1 Taiwan 12, ballhead. The terrifying ordeal has begun." The crew squawks 700 and 700, the international code for a dire emergency. Tokyo Control acknowledges. Japan Air 103A, radar contact, confirm you are declaring an emergency? That's affirmative, replies Captain Takahama, his voice remarkably steady despite the chaos. Japan Air 23, request your intentions, asks Tokyo Control. The crew responds, request to turn back to Haneda, descend and maintain 220. The pilots attempt to turn the aircraft, unaware they have lost their tail. The blast had severed all 4 hydraulic lines, bleeding the hydraulic fluid completely dry. The flight engineer reports the grim reality. Hydraulic pressure drops, high pressure is 0. The Boeing 747 is now flying without any flight controls. Tokyo ATC tries to guide them. Japan Air 23, fly heading 090, radar vector to Oshima, but the crew realizes the horrifying truth. Captain Takahama broadcasts the chilling realization, but now, uncontrollable. Without vertical stabilizer and hydraulic pressure, the massive 727 begins a terrifying phugoid motion. The nose pitches up sharply, stalling the wings, then violently drops, gaining massive speed before pitching up again in a relentless, sickening cycle. The aircraft enters a brutal Dutch roll, swaying violently from side to side. In the cabin, oxygen masks drop. Flight attendants try desperately to calm panicked passengers while the aircraft violently bucks and rolls through the darkening sky. Japan Air 1 Taiwan 3, if you read me, you are 40 miles from Haneda. What is your intention? Tokyo Itsei asks. Desperate, the pilots use the only control they have left, engine thrust. They try to steer using the throttles. Applying thrust to the right engines turns the plane left, and reducing thrust drops the nose. It's an agonizing, almost impossible balancing act. The 727 wildly oscillates, sweeping over the Izu Peninsula and heading toward the unforgiving mountains. A Tokyo Control offers an alternative. Japan Air 133, Nagoya is available. The flight crew, fighting a losing battle against the physics of a broken airplane, insists on returning to Tokyo. The physical exertion in the cockpit is immense. As the aircraft dips below 10,000 feet, the depressurization alarm ceases, but the physical struggle intensifies. Lower the nose! Lower the nose! The captain shouts. The first officer physically strains against the useless yoke, fighting the aircraft's violent movements. The pilots attempt to lower the landing gear using the alternate electrical system, hoping the drag will stabilize the aircraft. The headed gear drops, stabilizing the plane slightly, but the massive drag sends them into a rapid, dangerous descent. United States forces at Yokota Air Base monitor the desperate radio traffic. They prepare their runway for an emergency landing and contact Tokyo Control. Yokota approach, we can accept JAL 103 PIDES, but the aircraft is drifting further away. Japan Air 123, your position is 5 miles from Kumagaya. What is your intention? Atsete calls out. No response. The crew is entirely consumed by the physical fight for their lives, battling the colossal forces tearing at the airframe. A ground proximity warning system pierces the cockpit noise. Pull up! Pull up! The aircraft is dropping rapidly over highly mountainous terrain. The captain commands max power, desperately trying to use engine thrust to force the nose up. For a brief, agonizing moment, the nose rises, clearing a ridge, but the unequal thrust induces another vicious roll. The aircraft enters an unrecoverable dive. The cockpit voice recorder captures the heady breathing and sheer determination of the crew. Flaps up! Flaps up! The crew attempts to configure the wings for a final desperate maneuver. The right wing violently drops. Japan Air 133, Japan Air 133, Tokyo Control. Do you read? Silence falls over the radio frequency. The 727's right wing clips a mountain ridge. The impact violently spins the massive airliner, tearing it apart before it slams inverted into Mount Takamagahara. A massive fireball erupts into the night sky. 32 minutes of sheer terror concludes. Tokyo ATC tries frantically to raise the aircraft. Japan Air 133 Tokyo Control. Japan Air 103, do you read? Only static returns. Radar screens go blank. The controllers stare in stunned disbelief. The unthinkable tragedy has just become reality. In the rugged mountains of Gunma Prefecture, rescue helicopters spot the burning wreckage but deem the terrain too treacherous for night operations. Miscommunications and tragic delays leave survivors stranded on the mountainside in freezing temperatures overnight without immediate aid. By morning, rescuers finally reach the crash site. Amidst the apocalyptic destruction of twisted metal and charred forest, they discover a miracle. 4 passengers survived the devastating impact and the cold night, but 520 lives were tragically lost. The flight crew's actions were later heavily scrutinized, but simulators proved that flying a 777 with zero hydraulics was practically impossible. Their use of asymmetrical engine thrust kept the doomed aircraft airborne for an astonishing 32 minutes against all odds. Investigations revealed a faulty repair by Boeing 7 years earlier caused the aft pressure bulkhead to fail. Flight 123 profoundly changed aviation maintenance standards forever, ensuring the heroic, desperate struggle of Captain Takahama and his crew was never forgotten.